Welcome to day 17 of our study of the book of Ecclesiastes. Our title for today's lesson is Anger Lodges in the Heart of a Fool. Our verses for reading today come from Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 8 through 14. Better is the end of a thing than its beginning, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Say not, why were the former days better than these? For it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, an advantage to those who see the sun. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. Consider the work of God. Who can make straight what he has made crooked? In the day of prosperity, be joyful, and in the day of adversity, consider. God has made the one as well as the other, so that man may not find out anything that will be after him. Troubleshooting 101. The general principles for fixing any device. Imagine my glee, my utter joy, my overwhelming happiness to find this website at www.limblcmms.com. Now, I'm not advocating or advertising for this company, just showing what came up when I typed in my search engine, what is troubleshooting? They defined it this way. Troubleshooting is a step-by-step approach to finding the root cause of an issue and deciding the best way to fix it to get it back in operation. Now that's what I need, a step-by-step approach. Well, let's back up just a little bit and examine my approach to troubleshooting. Problem number 1, my printer won't work. Solution, turn the printer off and then back on. Actually, it's my only solution. I don't know any other method, and I don't know anything about printers. Problem number 2, I have an air leak in my tire. Solution, put air in the tire and drive on. Chances are it won't need air again for a few days. Problem number 3, I have water coming into my house when it rains. Solution, it will stop leaking when it stops raining. What do you think? Pretty good approach? By the way, you too can use these. They aren't exclusively of my own invention. Actually, they're a pretty lousy way of solving problems. Except for the printer. I really do use that one quite often with success. These are really what someone might refer to as wishing in one hand and spitting in the other, and seeing which one fills up faster. My method is wishing approach. It's a choice, and not a very good one at that. Life is filled with choices. Most choices we can live with and not suffer consequences. Blue jeans or khakis for the day. Cold cereal or oatmeal for breakfast. Listen to the radio or just have silence on the way to work. Either way is just fine in these choices. Some choices, however, carry a heavier weight as to the outcome. First, if I were given 3 weeks to complete a term paper, do I start right away or wait until the last minute? Or how about it's beginning to snow? Do I maintain the speed in my car or slow down? Or how about this one? All the kids are going to the party where there is drinking and drugs. Do I go and just blend in, or do I stay home and be safe? Unfortunately, many people don't give any more thought to the last set of these choices than they do the first set. In fact, they may even give less thought to personal safety than they do to their own outfit for the day. Our passage today is all about wise choices. Even more, these are habits developed as a direct result of wisdom applied over a period of time. Take our title verse for today in verse 9. Be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Solomon spent a considerable amount of time in Proverbs on this very subject. But he laid the groundwork for the right application of wisdom in the first 9 chapters of Proverbs before he gives the individual lessons on anger, the tongue, honesty, hard work, and so forth. We begin in Proverbs chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful garland for your head and pendants for your neck. And again in chapter 2 and verses 9 through 15. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you. Understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil. Men whose paths are crooked and whose devious in their ways. And yet again in chapter 3 of Proverbs, verses 13 through 16. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Once the child understands the benefits, the rewards, and the gains of wisdom, then they will practice the maxims of it. In Proverbs 15:18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger quiets contention. Or how about Proverbs 16:32? Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Yes, I see it plainly, says the wise person. Now Solomon addresses the adage so often lamented in verse 10. Why were the former days better than these? He cautions them and us not to say this, for he tells us, it is not from wisdom that you ask this. Even today we declare, those were the days of prosperity, wealth, riches, and more. But remember, that's what the Israelites declared in the wilderness, time after time, not realizing that God was with them and providing for their every need. For example, in Numbers chapter 11, verses 4 and 5. Now the rabble that was among them had a strong craving, and the people of Israel also wept again and said, oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt that cost nothing, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But I wonder how many realized that God had provided them until Moses pointed it out in Deuteronomy 29:5. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn off your feet. Here, Solomon beckons the reader to consider such things with wisdom. Yes, Ecclesiastes 7:11, wisdom is good with an inheritance, an advantage to those who see the sun. Such things are taught by the wise. Consider Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. But the wise also teach this maxim in Proverbs 13:11. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. There it is, wisdom. Everything promised by wisdom is there for the asking. Consider verse 12 of Ecclesiastes 7. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that wisdom preserves the life of him who has it. In all things, wisdom is superior. It's not like wishing in one hand. It's not like unplugging and plugging it in again and hoping it works. Wisdom allows us to make the right choices because it is a part of us. In all things of God, Solomon says in verse 13, consider the work of God. Who can make straight what he has made crooked? Yet wisdom allows the wise to mold their lives accordingly to the circumstances they find themselves in. Then the wise shall conclude this in Ecclesiastes 7:14. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, and in the day of adversity, consider. God has made one as well as the other, so that man may not find out anything that will happen after him. We shall see the Apostle Paul utter an eternal truth when he says in Romans 8:28, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." Have you leaned upon wisdom to support your decisions and choices in your life? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow for another lesson in the book of Ecclesiastes.